Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. I've been asked, hey man, I'm gonna show you. Who is Caroline Dubois? Most people when they hear Dubois, they think of Daniel Dubois. You don't really know much about his sister. So I'm like, all right, she just signed with Jake Paul, MVP Promotions. So I said, you know what, let me start doing more videos on the ladies. Because I don't think the ladies are getting enough exposure. So I said, you know what, I'll do a video on the ladies, man. And I'm gonna start doing them every day. I'll try to do like 2 or 3, and just put it out there. But this is her right here, Caroline Dubois, 11 wins, 5 KOs. Stands about 5'6", southpaw, from the UK. Turned pro in February of 2022. 24 years old. They call her Sweet Caroline. She can fight. Let me see. Okay. Her last fight was in March of this year. But Caroline Dubois is no joke. Okay? Now, there are a lot of things about her that make her special. But I just want to say this. She's 24 years old, born in London, comes from a real big family. She's one of 11 children. Her older brother is famous, Daniel Dubois, former champion, which made them the first British siblings to hold world titles simultaneously. Some people didn't know that. Dubois began boxing at the age of 9. Early in her career, she even pretended to be a boy, Colin, so she could train and a sign of her early grit and determination. Kind of reminds you of Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor had to, I think pretend to be a boy to go and get fights. But it's an interesting story that Katie Taylor had as well, as far as being a woman or a female who wanted to box and just having so many different roadblocks put in front of her, you know what I'm saying? But as far as Caroline Dubois and her amateur pedigree, before turning pro, she had an outstanding amateur resume. That's why it's no surprise she's performing the way she's performing as a professional boxer. She was a youth Olympic champion, world youth champion, and 4-time European youth champion, multiple national youth championships in England. That amateur success laid a strong technical and mental foundation, something many pro fighters lack. Even Roy Jones talks a lot about pro fighters and not having the amateur pedigree and, putting in the work as an amateur and how some of them are at a disadvantage when they turn pro and trying to go that Olympic route. And I understand what Roy is saying, but I mean, right here we're talking about Caroline Dubois, and you can see that just having that expanded amateur background has helped her tremendously as a pro fighter. Now, professional career and recent moves. She turned pro in 2022, like I mentioned. She quickly rose through the lightweight division, capturing the interim WBC female lightweight title in August 2024 with the win over Myra Monio. Now, when longtime lightweight champ Katie Taylor vacated the belt, Dubois was elevated to full WBC world champion status in December 2024. She has a very impressive record 11 wins, 5 KOs, 1 draw. And she just signed with Jake Paul and MVP, and I think she's going to be fighting on the undercard of Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua on December 19th. MVP co-founders described her as the most coveted free agent in women's boxing, and that's why they snatched her up. Her move to MVP signals a big push, not just for her career, but potentially for women's boxing on a global stage. When you see what MVP is doing with the women fighters, you got to wonder why all these female fighters aren't running over there. Jake Paul's the kind of guy who will take money out of his own purse, out of his own pocket, and pay female fighters what they're valued. Jake Paul is a good guy when it comes to business, when it comes to the ladies. He's fair. He's not trying to rob you. And he's the kind of guy that You look at how he dealt with Amanda Serrano and all the fighters. He pays people out of he'll if he has to pay you because something goes wrong with the event, he will pay you out of his own pocket. So I got to give Jake Paul, I got to give the dude a lot of respect. We could talk and make jokes about Jake Paul, and people can say he's a cartoon character. You can say whatever you want. This is social media. Jake Paul talks shit too. But when you peel all the bullshit back and you see what's really there at the core, Jake Paul, I feel, has a good heart and good intentions with what he puts his hands on. And he's got his hands on female boxing. He's been doing a really good job since. Now, what makes Caroline Dubois so special, and as they describe as the most coveted free agent in women's boxing, is just that elite amateur foundation, man. You know what I'm saying? Her extensive youth and amateur success means she entered the pro ranks with top level fundamentals, discipline, and ring IQ. That gives her a huge advantage over many pro fighters who lack that base. The second thing, youth and big ambition. At 24, she's young. She has time to grow, evolve, and build toward being a multi-division force. She's already voiced aims to unify titles and potentially move up weight classes. So she has a plan, and she's looking to enact it with Jake Paul and MVP Promotions. She has power, and she has a work rate. 5 KOs, 11 wins, coming through youth championships. She merges technical skill with tangible punching power, a combination that I always seen in female lightweight boxing, but she has it. But one thing she has, and I like it because I used to fight at Southpaw as well, that Southpaw advantage. As a Southpaw, she presents stylistic challenges to orthodox opponents. This stance, combined with her fundamentals, can make her awkward and difficult to hit. And she is a very, very, very good Southpaw man. But what really makes her to me is the championship mentality and drive. She just has that find a way to win by all means necessary mentality. She's already held multiple belts, interim and full WBC, previously IBO, and defended titles. Her ambition to be the face of women's boxing shows she's not just fighting for wins, she's fighting for legacy, man. She wants to be great, and she's proven that with every single fight. Now with the signing with Jake Paul and MVP Promotions, I think that's going to catapult her, man, to bigger and better things in superstardom, and she could be the next biggest thing out there for British boxing, and she's a female. But you know what? For anyone saying that can't happen, bullshit. She got the promotional backing and platform now. MVP behind her, high-profile undercard spot in the major events like Paul versus Joshua. She has visibility and financial support that can open doors to big fights, sponsorships, and global recognition. Opportunities many female fighters just don't get, and she's going to get. And the thing is, signing with Jake Paul, look, I think every female out there should be working with Jake Paul and MVP Promotions right now. They should have got on the bandwagon a couple of years ago to where they can sit there, man, and get the exposure they need. But who knows how long Jake Paul's going to stay around as a fighter? When Jake Paul, when he fights, the whole world tunes in. And that's really good. It's a really good opportunity for women to get some exposure. And good thing she's doing it. But for all these other females out here who aren't signed with him for whatever reason, maybe they should think about it because I just think the time is going to run out. I think he'll still keep promoting. However, the fighting thing, I don't know how much longer he's going to do it. But he's still young. He got time on. He hasn't taken any real wear and tear. So we just have to sit back and see. But as far as what I said about her could be the next big thing out there in the UK, look, she's got the potential to be a star in women's boxing, which she's already becoming. She's got the youth, she got the pedigree, she got the hunger, she got the power, she has everything. It's a rare mix that could allow for a long, dominant run if managed well. She's in a prime position for unification fights. With many titles up for grabs in lightweight and featherweight divisions, and with promoters increasingly spotlighting women's boxing, Dubois could emerge as a central figure, which I think she will. Her southpaw style and power plus technical background makes her a dangerous matchup for many. That could lead to highlight reel performances, which help build a fan base. With backing from media-savvy promoter like MVP and exposure on big undercards, she could gain mainstream attention, bridging the gap between hardcore boxing fans and casual viewers. That's why I'm doing a video on her. I'm going to do a video on all the ladies. I'll get to it. Every day, try to do about 2 a day. because people, it's frustrating, right? Everyone just keeps talking about when they think about boxing, and it's not in a good way. Clarissa Shields' name comes to mind, and I got to say this: she can fight, but there are other women out here who can fight too, but they have better attitudes. They they have better fan interaction, fan engagement. They're more marketable. They're pleasant. They're intelligent. And I just think I wish more. I understand. Even I do a lot of videos on Clarissa Shields. You're going to get some attention for your channel, and people like to look at it. And Clarissa Shields is interesting, no matter if you like her or not. Right? She's very interesting. But they have other women out here in boxing, not as controversial, but they're interesting too. And that's why I'm going to start talking about them more and more. And eventually maybe I'll get some more to come on the channel and just have a conversation. But I just think for Caroline Dubois, man, is she's going to come across some challenges as far as what she needs to prove. She's Daniel Dubois' sister, and that's all it is. She needs to step outside of that light, that spotlight. She is her own woman. She's her own person. She's her own fighter. And I think people are going to soon realize that. But of course, the men, they get all the attention. Daniel Dubois, brother, big knockout artist, has been a champion, fought in huge fights, been doing it at the highest level for quite some time. You can understand why everyone knows about him. But with her, let me tell you something. She's on her way, but she still needs to face and beat top tier elite opposition. Being unbeaten and holding the title is huge. But to prove she's truly world class, she'll need to consistently beat the best available challengers. As women boxing divisions are often fragmented, multiple belts, different levels of competition, establishing herself as an undisputed or unified champion will be crucial for her legacy. The pressure of spotlight and expectations, let me tell you something. With high visibility and being hyped as the next big thing, she'll need mental resilience, discipline, and consistency to avoid hype-related pitfalls. She's a beautiful person, good character, integrity. I don't think she'll fall into any pitfalls to where she'll be on social media arguing with people, cussing at people, using the foulest of language in different languages to offend people. Like, I don't see her going down that path. And that's why we need to get behind and rally behind these female fighters like this who are not going to be out here toxic. She's not that. But what I will say is, as with any fighter, she just needs to avoid complacency. She can't afford to allow that to happen. Stay hungry. Don't continue to improve. Don't rely solely on the amateur pedigree, because let me tell you something. Competition stiffens. She will regret it if she doesn't stay hungry, doesn't end up getting involved with too many things outside of boxing that could take away from her focus. And now she finds herself in a upward battle, trying to get back to where she is right now. So that being said, there are a lot of people who feel that she could become the face of women's boxing. A lot of people, and I'm not the only one saying it. They're looking at her youth, looking at her background, her record, her style, her ambition, and now she got the promotional backing. Caroline Dubois checks many boxes that historically great champions share. The fact she signed with MVP and will feature under a major event with high-profile media reach, that suggests there's a serious push to build her into a global star. What better platform to be on than the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua is from around her way as well. There's going to be a lot of fans there at that fight in Miami rooting for the British fighters. And she will get all that support and more. Bottom line, her story, from a tough upbringing to proving herself in the amateur ranks, to rising quickly in pro boxing, to now holding a world title, her whole story has narrative appeal. Combine that with tangible skills, she could become a mainstream star, elevating not just her own brand, but awareness and respect for women's boxing overall. Caroline Dubois deserves a whole lot of respect, man. A whole lot of respect. And I can't wait to see her get in the ring on the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua undercard. Make sure to tune in. 135-pound world champion Caroline Dubois. She's no joke. Keep cool, I'm in the